Action.
Action. Hi, I'm Margaret Hathaway, and this is 10 Apple Farm. Welcome. We are going to make a leek quiche with leeks from the garden. And one thing that we love to make on the farm is quiche of pretty much any type because it incorporates so many great ingredients from our farm. For instance, the leeks are the last thing that we pulled out of the garden this winter. We pulled them out right before it snowed, and we've been storing them in the cellar in this bucket. The eggs we got from our chickens this morning, and the milk is also from this morning. We're gonna make something that's super delicious. We bought cheese at the store. You can make it with fresh Chev, which we make, but our kids actually prefer it with Swiss cheese. So we cut it up and grated it, and let's just dive right in, right? All right, so first thing, before we started filming, I made a pie crust, which I baked blind, which means you bake it without any filling in it because the crust needs to bake for a little bit longer than the filling needs to. So I baked it for 12 minutes already in a 425 oven, and then I turned down the oven to 375, which is what we're gonna bake the quiche at. I've also already grated some cheese and cubed some cheese, and I already washed the leeks because it's kind of an inelegant process, but when I took the leeks out, we've been storing them unwashed, just like this, in their little bucket. And what I did was I trimmed off the root part at the bottom, and I trimmed off the tough green part at the top, and peeled it back until we got to the nice, tender, pretty white part. I usually leave a little bit of the green on, but not too much. And the way that I get the dirt out of the green is a neat little trick. I cut it once this way, and I turn it and cut it once this way so that it's in 4 little pieces. And then I put it in water and I swish it around. And it looks kind of like a paintbrush, but it gets all the little dirt that gets trapped in there while the leek's growing. So, all right. First thing, we're gonna chop up these leeks and saute them in some butter. So, we are not afraid of butter around here, even though we don't have a cow, so the butter is not from our animals. We love it because it makes everything taste good. So I'm cutting these leeks into, they're about 1/4 to 1/2 inch rings, cutting all the way down. And once you get to the part that I've cut up, they're in like tiny little pieces, but that'll be nice. Tasty, it'll soak up some butter. And this part, it's a little bit more fibrous at the end, but down here the white part is super tender. All right, that's probably actually enough. I think I maybe only needed 3 leeks, not 4. All right, I'm gonna get a little, here, I'll put this down here. I'm gonna get a little knob of butter started. Okay, that's probably about a tablespoon. Maybe a tablespoon and a half, that I'll heat up and melt. And then we're gonna saute the leeks in it. While I'm waiting for that to melt, I'm gonna start mixing the custard. So I'm gonna measure out, it's 1.5 cups of goat's milk, which I will measure out right here. And 3 eggs. And the rule of thumb with a custard is always 1/2 cup of milk to 1 egg. With pretty much any custard, especially with quiche, but with pretty much any custard, that will give you, it'll make it firm enough, it won't be too jiggly, and it'll be nice. So I'm gonna crack my eggs into here and start whisking them. My butter is still melting. I wish I was one of those people like Julia Child who could do like the elegant one-handed egg cracking, but I cannot. Maybe someday. All right. Oh, okay. Eggs are cracked. I hear my butter is ready. So nice and melted and bubbling. I'm just gonna put my leeks in, trying not to drop any on the floor, which is tricky because they roll. Alright, that's over medium-high heat. We don't want them to get burnt, but we do want them to cook all the way through. So I'll let them keep softening while I start whisking the eggs. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna add this goat's milk to the eggs while I whisk. And the milk is amazing. It's from our goats. We've been milking dairy goats now for 9 years. Well, we've been raising them for 9 years. We've been milking for 7. We drink pretty much only goat's milk. The kids think it's like a huge treat when we buy cow milk at the store. But this is goat's milk. I bake with it. I do everything with it. It's from this morning. It doesn't have a very goaty flavor yet. It just has like a nice, sweet, very delicate flavor, which won't interfere at all actually with the strong flavor of the Swiss cheese. If we were using Chev, it would bring out that kind of earthy Chev taste. But with the Swiss cheese, it's just gonna balance really nicely. So I'm gonna pour it in and whisk. Keep whisking. I'm gonna crack in a little black pepper and probably about half a teaspoon of kosher salt. The cheese is pretty salty, but you want to have a little salt in the custard too. And then using my cute little nutmeg house, I am going to grate a little nutmeg in, which I always put in a quiche, no matter what type of quiche. I always put in a few grates of nutmeg. I just think it's nice in custard. All right, let's check on these. Oh, here we go. I turned them off because they started to burn, but they're not quite. They're burning in one spot and a little raw in the other, so I need to pay a little more attention to them. But, all right, so we've got our custard ready to go, our pie crust ready to go, our oven preheated, and we're just waiting for our leeks to be ready. It looks like these are done. And they're nice and soft, and they have a few little bits on them that are brown, and they smell amazing. Okay, actually, first, before we put the leeks in, I'm gonna put these cubes of cheese on the absolute bottom of the crust. There'll be a layer of cheese. This is the way I like to do quiche. I don't know, my mom does it this way. I don't know how other people do it, but I always do one layer of cheese on the bottom in cubes, and then I do my vegetable on top. So today we're doing leeks, but sometimes we do spinach from the garden or broccoli from the garden, or I don't know. Those are pretty much the 3 that we do mostly for quiche. Asparagus sometimes, although our asparagus has not done well the last couple years, so store-bought asparagus, but not ours. And with asparagus, definitely use Chev because it's so tasty. Those flavors complement each other so nicely. All right, so there we go. I don't know. Can you see the inside of that shell from there, or should I tilt it? Yeah. So there. Now I'm going to put in the custard, and I'm not just going to pour it right in the center because it'll be sort of like a little volcano. You'll end up with a hole in the custard. I'm just going to kind of pour it around gently so it fills in all of the space in between the cheese and the leeks, but doesn't make any more space, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to sprinkle the cheese on the top. So there was about half a cup of cheese in cubes on the bottom. And then we probably started with 2 cups of leeks and that cooked down to about 1.5 cups. And now I'm going to put another like half a cup of shredded cheese over the top. And you could do this with, if you were making a broccoli quiche, it's the same formula. You could do the exact same thing. You could use Swiss, or with broccoli you could use cheddar cheese, which would be really nice. With asparagus, like I said, I would do Chev, but I might use a little bit less Chev because it melts into the custard a little bit. All right, so there we go. I'm going to put it into my preheated oven at 375 for the next 25 minutes, or until the top is like a little brown and the custard looks set. So we'll put it in there, close the oven, and check back in 25 minutes. Okay. Dinner is served.
Yay!
Quiche! All right.
Lick.
Link.
Licky.
All right.